Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. I want to talk with you today about a term that you may have heard of. It's the term altruistic narcissist. Now, pause right there. What we're dealing with right there up front is what's known as an oxymoron. It's a contradiction of terminology. When we talk about altruism and then we pair it with narcissism, those two words don't match up with each other. And when we talk about an altruistic narcissist, we're talking about somebody who's trying to create a phony impression when behind the scenes there's something else going on. Now, let's remind ourselves that when we talk about someone who's altruistic, we're talking about having a selfless regard for other individuals. They like to be kind, they like to be helpful, they like to figure out what other individuals' needs are, and they want to make sure that they can speak into and live into those particular needs. Now, notice that I use the word selfless. Is there anything about narcissism that is selfless? Narcissists have a strong need for control. They have an attitude of entitlement. They have low empathy. They want to be superior. But one of the things that they can sometimes do, and this is the ultimate gaslighting, is they want to give others the impression, oh, I'm the nicest person you ever met. And there's so many good things about me, you can't possibly think anything other than admiring thoughts about me. And as a result, they can give the appearance of being in service toward other individuals. And sure enough, there may be some measurables that they can point to. It may be that they help people who are in need physically, or, for example, working at with food kitchens, or giving out clothes, or helping people in health crisis, or things of that nature. They like to give gifts, and typically they can be very nice gifts. They can give food, and it's the best food. And so there are actually times when they can point and say, see, here are the measurables. I'm a really nice person. Now, you can say that they're a nice person, but at the core, there's a what's in it for me kind of mentality. They just don't show you right up front. Now, I'm going to give you an illustration of a healthy altruist, and then we're going to contrast with what we're talking about when we talk about the altruistic narcissist. The illustration is several years ago. I knew a fellow fairly well. We had done multiple things socially, and I knew him from many other kind of connections with people. And one year was near Christmas time. I had asked him if he wanted to meet me for breakfast, and he said, well, actually, I have something going on that day. And he explained to me that there was this prison organization that he had worked with for years, and he was going to help bring some food to this halfway house. And then he just came up with the idea. He said, hey, you want to come and help take the food? And he had some hams and turkeys and things like that he was taking. And so I went with him on this trip. And when we got to this halfway house, there were about a dozen guys there, and every one of them knew him by his first name, and they were saying, hey, it's good to see you. And I found out through this encounter that I had with him that for several years he had actually worked with this halfway house with helping guys put together resumes and helping them get jobs. I didn't know it, but he had taken some of them to stores to buy a suit. That was back in the day where you might need a suit or some very nice clothing so they could go get interviews. And this was something that was a part of his life that he didn't feel the need to brag about. It was just what he did, and it was just kind of one of those things that went under the radar. That's the way a true altruist works. They have goodness and kindness and friendliness, and it's like, I don't need to draw attention to that. And if you find out about it, that's wonderful. I'd love for you to help me, but it's just kind of who I am. It's what I do. Narcissists, they operate with more than just that. Narcissists want to solve your problems. They like knowing when a person is needy, or they like knowing that they can help somebody, but it's as though they're almost too willing and too quick to offer. It's like, oh, I'm going to be your savior. I'm going to be your rescuer, and when you hang out with me, your problems are going to be solved. And they can have too much of an enthusiasm about who they are and what they can bring to the equation, and they can move way too quickly on that. Behind the scenes, we see that when a narcissist goes into altruistic behavior, it's driven by a need to be needed. It's like, well, I do like kind of feeling important, although they won't say that, but I like to be validated. And what better way for me to do something nice to someone and then for them to turn around and regale me? Oh, shucks, don't do that. Which leads to another thing, and that is altruistic narcissists have what we would refer to as a false humility, and that's another oxymoron. Have you ever heard the term humble bragging? It might be that as somebody is talking about something nice they've done, it's like, yeah, and me and this, the CEO of this big, huge corporation, me and Jack over here, we're really big buds because of all that we've done together, and they want to make sure that people know I'm kind of a big dog here, and I'm somebody that serves people well. A lot of folks know what I do, but we're not going to talk about that. So they have this false sense of humility. They really like getting the attention. Ultimately, the altruistic narcissist needs to be seen not just as good, but as extra good. For example, when they do nice things for other individuals, it's like, surely no one's ever going to turn me down because of who I am. I mean, look at how nice I am. And as a result, it strengthens their sense of power over other individuals. Ultimately, these individuals have a hidden inferiority complex. They want to be superior, but they're not going to do it necessarily in a hammer kind of way, but they want to be known as somebody who's a step above other individuals. And it compensates for them worrying about whether people are going to take them seriously. And then, interestingly, many of these individuals do have a very strong moral code. They can have a very strong social cause that they like to go after. But again, so much so that they think, well, everybody ought to go according to my moral code. Everybody ought to live according to my causes. And they seem to be puzzled when other individuals don't want to just jump right in and join with them. And that's part of their self-impressed mindset. It's like, well, you just need to think and do and prioritize like me. And if you don't, what's wrong with you? Altruistic narcissists want to have a strong following. They want to be admired. They like people thinking, you're the person I can count on. What would I do without you? And it's like, yeah, what would you do without me? Lucky you, though. And they can come across very much in that kind of way. They like having people dependent upon them. They like having people beholden to them. And so when a healthy altruist goes about serving and being kind to other individuals, it's not for the service of self. When the narcissist says, I think I can go into that space too, there's always an angle that's there. And I know it can sound cynical for us to say, well, you're doing good, but you're just doing it for selfish reasons, because actually maybe some good is being done. But the old saying, if there's something that's too good to be, that seems too good to be true, it probably is. Well, we can say that about people too. Sometimes when there's a person that seems too good to be true, we want to be guarded and careful on that. And that's what I mean when I say I don't want to sound too cynical, but too many times when narcissists enter into that space, they're in it for whatever personal gain they can get. True altruism involves quiet consistency, like my friend. It involves a tender form of love. No particular requirement for anything in reverse. No need for acclaim or reward. They just simply want to say, my reward is kindness, and I just enjoy doing nice things for individuals. Instead, the narcissist loves to be in control, and when they're in service of other individuals who happen to be beneath them, it allows them to be controlling. They can be offended when others, like I said, when others don't go along with that. They're very commonly you'll find that their public self doesn't necessarily match up with their private self. I have known so many individuals who have been trying to be helpful to other individuals, and then behind the scenes, it's like, what's wrong with those idiots over there anyway? Why can't they do everything right? I mean, I give them everything they want, and I have to go back the next week and do it all over again. Or I knew another person who, and this is a sad one, had gotten involved with a group of people that really did need some help, and then he winds up having an affair with one of the people involved. It's like, well, as long as I'm here and as long as you're available, why not? And you can have that kind of thinking. So when a person is giving, but there's almost a little bit too much of that charming and that friendly and that over-the-top exuberance for good, let's be a bit guarded. Let's remember that altruism is something that, you've heard the old saying, you don't even, your left hand doesn't need to know what your right hand is doing. Sometimes it's just good to say, I'm going to be good and I'm going to do decent things. And it's just what I am, and I'm not doing it for acclaim. So it's good to be a servant. It's good to be helpful. In fact, studies show that that's a very key ingredient in a person having a sense of contentment in life. But let's make sure that as you're serving, you're not also serving your own ego. That's where the narcissist goes, and that's when we think, thanks for the external stuff, but let's pull way back on that. That's what an altruistic narcissist is like. So I hope this gives you some idea of what you might be dealing with, and I hope that you don't really feel like you have to be in service of them if they seem to imply that you should. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so, and we're going to keep more videos coming toward you so that you can learn about this pattern of narcissism. Sometimes as you're dealing with individuals who are very difficult, you might need some therapy. You know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy resource. It became very popular during COVID, and people have found out it continues to be a very effective way to manage your therapy needs. If the need is there, please go through the link that we have below and get the help that you need. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists that would help you there. In addition, I also have some online courses that you might avail yourself to, and it's like signing up for a big class. It's very extensive, and it would be a commitment on your part, but one that I hope would be highly therapeutic and very stimulating. Each course has at least 25 videos. Each video has written material and guided questions with it, and so it's very systematic in the way that it unfolds. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making good connections. We have This Is Me about establishing boundaries, Free to Be, finding yourself despite those controllers in your life. We also have my webinars, and they're 90-minute presentations that we reserve on our website as well. In addition, you have access to my podcasts, my books, lots of articles, so please avail yourself to that. Okay, the oxymoron. Altruistic, wonderful. Narcissist, and when you fuse that together, you're going to have a contradiction. Just know what you're dealing with, and then know how much you need to or perhaps don't need to be involved with someone of that nature. I hope that as you do see yourself in the act of service toward other individuals, it's going to be for the right reasons, because ultimately I'm hoping that you can have a steadiness and a goodness in your life that allows you and other individuals to truly be individuals of peace and contentment.